So I had a difficult qualifying session. I invalidated one of my really good laps, so I had to go for one of the banker times, which was a little bit slower. But I knew starting in the midfield that I could pick up some positions along the way. So I was really aggressive into the start. I went for a couple moves and also took advantage of the big spin going into turn one. I got a little bit lucky and picked the right side, and that gave me quite an advantage going into turns 3 and 4. Unfortunately, coming out of the hairpin at the old start-finish straight, I had a really big slide which cost me a few positions. So I went from P11 up to P7 at the start and then dropped back down to P9. I had a really nice fight with Alexander Paulick, and I was able to get ahead of him. And then unfortunately, I left the door open a little bit too much to open up turn 4, and he was able to take advantage of that and get up my inside. I tried fighting back round the outside, going into the left-hander just before the hairpin, but unfortunately we had a little bit of a contact which bumped me out wide, and I had to slot in behind, and this cost me quite a bit of time. But I was able to put the pressure back on Alexander, and then he made a little mistake coming out of Maggots and Beckett's, which gave him a slowdown and allowed me to get back past. I then continued to try and push, and after a little bit of defense was able to open up a little bit of a gap going into the pit stop window. Unfortunately though, at the pit stop window, I had gained quite a lot on the cars behind, but one of the Porsches jumped me at the pit stop. So after coming out of the pits behind the Porsche, I pushed really hard to try and force him into any small mistake, and I was able to eventually get the move done. Unfortunately though, going into the last 4 laps of the race, I realised that I was half a lap short on fuel. Unfortunately, with all the battling I had been doing, I'd burnt through a lot more fuel than I had on practice runs. So with 3 laps to go, I started fuel saving massively as I realised that I was very short on fuel. Unfortunately, despite my best efforts at fuel saving, I came up just short and ran out of fuel going into the final sector. I was able to roll to the line, and thanks to a few of the penalties, I still finished in the top 10. A bit disappointing to lose out on a couple positions just for being short on fuel, but it was a really good first race, a good start to the championship, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in round 2. Thank you to CRS, and see you next time.